I have another question written down for you that is going to get into the forbidden realm.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm curious, are there questions in tarot and in the psychic realm that we're not allowed to ask or we're not supposed to ask?
Yes. And that there's a few different ones that I would deem very forbidden questions. Like you should never ask. The biggest one being is asking a psychic, when am I going to die? Or anything about death. When is this person going to die? Or is this person going to die? Or anything like that. You should never ask that. The reason why I say that is because yes, tarot can predict those things. Yes. But you as an individual and everyone on this planet has free will. But when you hear something, such as like, let's say the tarot reveals this hidden secret to you, that is a reflection of your current timeline of what you are currently manifesting. When you hear something like that, it can solidify that because now you might be like, oh, now I know when such and such is going to happen. It can make it more concrete and we can lose a lot of our free will in that. So I'd say things like asking about things like death and like, when am I going to die? Or when is somebody else going to, or are they going to die from this? Don't ask that because you are solidifying a reality that is a potential reality that might be the current potential based on what's being put out there, what's being manifested. When you have that hard information, it again can solidify that. And I feel like that's just something you should never solidify in your life. That is one question that you should never solidify because that's the end all question. Whereas if you ask a question like, oh, am I going to be successful in this career? You might get cards that come up that say like, oh, your current path is showing that you have this obstacle in front of you. You're currently not working past this fear. Therefore, it's showing up as it's a potential, but it's also showing up as you still have to learn all these things before that thing is ever going to come into your life, for example. That's still very open-ended. Of course, that it's showing exactly what's happening, but you still have this free will to move through that. Whereas a question such as death or something like that, it's this hard, concrete thing that, again, when we hear it, now that's going to be in the back of your mind. And when that's in the back of your mind, constantly repeating, you're going to end up solidifying something that didn't need to be solidified. And again, it should just never, under any circumstance, should that ever be asked, or should any psychic ever look into that or predict that for you. It is 100% just forbidden, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the reason why. And that's the biggest thing. Another thing would be things that deeply invade other people's privacy. Anything that's disrespectful should never be asked. You can ask fun things such as like, oh my God, what does my crush think about me? Do they like me back? Like it's harmless. It's cute. It's, things like that. That's fine. But asking something like, oh, I heard that Rosie did this really bad thing to her friend and I want to find out what it was. This is gossip. This is prying into somebody else's privacy. There's no good intention behind it. If you don't have a good intention behind what you are asking, if it comes from a place of bad intentions or gossip or negativity, don't ask it, because that is, you're disrespecting such a sacred tool, for one, because tarot is such a sacred tool of connecting to the higher energies, of connecting to the universe. Why would we ever connect to the universe for a malicious reason or from a negative reason? You should never use the higher powers or anything for that sort. I mean, karma is a real thing and it's a spinning wheel. So if you wouldn't want somebody asking that about you, don't ask it about somebody else. Otherwise, that wheel will come around and karma will reflect back to you what you put out. So anything with negative intentions is forbidden and needs to be avoided at all costs. That karma will come back around and it's inviting in more negative energy. So I think it's a tool that should be respected. You can use it for fun things, good intentional things, self-exploration, deep realizations, all of that, all the good vibe stuff. Use the tarot, use the psychic tools for that, but not for the negative stuff, because it's not an energy we want to put out there. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that was a great answer. And I totally agree. Like, death is probably the only inevitable thing that we know is coming. And to solidify that narrative kind of makes that thing happen. There were infinite possibilities. We know you're going to die, but there are infinite ways and times. And to make that form come out of the formless is just, I don't know, it kind of just puts your narrative down this very limiting path.
Right, because now you just cemented in a timeline that could have been shifting. Like, our timelines shift constantly, right? We can make one decision in the next 10 seconds that will change our trajectory and our timeline of our life and change that outcome and when that outcome is going to happen. But why solidify it? Why solidify that now? Because right when you solidify it, I mean, right when you're aware of something, right when it's in your awareness, it starts perpetuating. And the beautiful thing about tarot is that when you're predicting the future, it's always good to know that even if you have a psychic that predicts anything for you, that says like, oh, you're not going to achieve that success that you're wanting, or, oh, you're not going to find love or whatever. It's first off, it's important to know that any psychic who reads that concretely doesn't know their practice very well, because we have free will. Nothing is ever solidified in stone. Any tarot reading that you get reads based on your current energy, what you're currently attracting, and you're always in control of that, and you're always in the driver's seat and can change anything at any time. And that's why I love tarot so much, because it shows you and brings awareness to what you're currently attracting, what you're currently going through. It helps you with understanding the present moment more and understanding anything that's happening in your future. That's why I love it so much. It's the beautiful tool to help us bring awareness to that. And it always makes so much sense when you get a card that comes up that's like, oh, you know what? That success that you're wanting, this challenge is popping up. And you're probably like, you know what? Yeah, that has been popping up. And oh my God, I do need to get over that and through that if I'm wanting to achieve what's on the other side of it. That's why I love tarot. It's a tool for navigation. It's a tool for self-discovery and self-growth. It's not this concrete thing. And so, sometimes I'll hear psychics that read so concretely, and I'm always like banging my head because I'm like, no, you're not solidified by that. And I see that within astrology too, especially because astrology, you have this concrete birth chart where maybe you have a malefic planet in your love life. And some readers will look at that and they'll say, oh, well, you're destined to have bad luck in love. Absolutely not. A malefic planet is always there for growth and development. And so even if you have a malefic planet in your love life, career life, whatever you have in your astrology, tarot, whatever, that's not destined for you for the rest of your life. It's destined for you to learn and grow from that. But it doesn't mean that you can't have the most amazing love of your life. It doesn't mean that this is the blueprint of your autopilot state. Astrology is the blueprint of your autopilot self, your autopilot mind, what you came here to learn from, what you came here to grow through, the experiences that you came here to have. But you're not limited by it, and you're not bound by it either. You can learn those things and then expand and grow and then create whatever you want. We are ultimate creators, and we're in 100% control of our reality. But of course, we have our autopilot blueprints. We have our tarot that can show us the trajectory that we're currently on. But we're always in the driver's seat. And that's something that, I really want to make clear, because I definitely have seen some people, I get a lot of questions of people coming to me being like, oh my God, this astrologer just told me that I'm never going to find love because of all of these different planets that I have. And I'm just like, what? What? These planets are your autopilot state, the reflection of your autopilot mind. That's what your natal chart is. It's a reflection of your autopilot energy. But you can always use your conscious energy to grab a hold of the car and steer it in whatever direction you want to, manifest whatever you want to, do whatever you want to. Yes, your soul did come here to learn certain lessons, but right when you learn them, you release yourself from that. You're done that. Now, what do you want to go and do? It doesn't mean you're going to be stuck in a cycle of constantly repeating that same lesson over and over again. It doesn't mean that your whole life is bound by that malefic challenge that, your soul came here to learn. It's like you get over it, you go through it, it's done. And again, astrology is your autopilot state. It's not your fate. It's not your destiny. Your fate and your destiny are up to you. Your autopilot state is, of course, what's written in the astrology and your autopilot self. But You're always in control. So.
It's beautifully said.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference between fate and destiny?
Fate and destiny. So fate is something that I feel like a lot of people use to describe something that's concrete, like, oh, this was fated. It's a fated connection, or it was fated that you would do this. It's such a concrete thing, whereas destiny is more like something out in front of us that maybe we're meant to fulfill. And our destiny seems to be something that people use a little bit more often, that seems a little bit more fluid. Like, for example, we make our own destiny. Our destiny is whatever we make of it. Or, something might fall on our lap and then we're just like, oh, it's our destiny to navigate that, to overcome that, to go through that. However, again, I do really feel like at the end of the day, regardless of fates and destinies, we have free will. And I am such a firm believer in that. Nobody could change my mind on that. I'm open to hearing debates, but
there's a lot of really smart people who say that we don't.
Me and you again have had this conversation, and
this is a great conversation. I think we talked about it on the last podcast.
Oh, did we?
We might have, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing that I just have to say is, like, why would we be conscious? Why would we have conscious awareness if there was no such thing as free will? If everything was fated and destined, what would be the point of being conscious? What would be the point of having a feeling conscious? There
would be no point, which is why intellectuals that promote the idea that we don't have free will try to explain away consciousness. They basically want us to be machines that are all a product of cause and effect. It's all determinism. It's all fate. Whereas I think what you speak to very much is destiny, which is a potential. It's not set in stone. And fate is like this inevitable thing that is written in the stars, which can be good. It's his fate. Mm-hmm. But to me, fate is what you are given. Destiny is what you make of it.
I love that answer. Because I do feel like we have a mix of both. I really do. And I feel like that's also why astrology can be so accurate and is so accurate, is because we do come here with a blueprint. We do come here with an autopilot, but we at the same time also have conscious free will. And we absolutely make and create our own destiny if we're willing to do so consciously.